I'm happy to report that EA Sports WRC is a game that's just as enjoyable when racing on a controller as it is with a racing wheel. While using a racing wheel will give you finer levels of control over these mighty rally cars, a well-configured controller can yield results that are just as good. In this video, I'm going to run through how to change your controller settings in EA Sports WRC. I'll give you a little bit of an explanation of what controller settings does what, and also a recommendation on the best controller settings that I found to give you maximum levels of control. Now, if you're familiar with any EA Sports racing game such as F1 23, the menu in EA Sports WRC will immediately be familiar. It uses a very similar tiled layout, which for someone coming from F1 23 makes finding different settings incredibly easy. Now, to adjust the controller settings, navigate over to the options and extras menu and then jump into the controls tab, and you'll find a few different menus which allow you to adjust different areas of your controller. First thing to do is to set your button mapping and bindings, and here's the perfect place to ensure that your controller inputs are doing exactly what you want them to while racing. You can change any button input by scrolling down to it, hit the edit button, and then just select the new input. In the advanced settings, you can change a few things related to your steering, sensitivity and linearity, and then in the vibration settings you have kind of the more advanced feedback settings. Now I'm going to jump back to the advanced settings and look at the sensitivity and linearity and what they do. So the steering sensitivity directly controls how sensitive your steering inputs are. If you increase this, you'll notice that your steering inputs create more intense in-game inputs. Lowering this will make your steering slightly less responsive. I found setting this to around 55 is kind of ideal here. Now the steering linearity changes the linearity curve of your inputs. Set this at 4 or 5 and you'll have pretty much linear steering, which is what you want in most cases. Changing this will make the steering more or less sensitive at the start and end of your steering inputs. Now moving over, you've got the vibration and feedback. The setting controls the overall strength of your vibrations that you'll feel. Higher settings will increase the vibration strength. Lower settings will decrease that, which can be good on some rough surfaces. Now the suspension setting controls how prominent the suspension feedback is. This is the bumps and elevation changes. I've increased this to 120 just to try and get a bit more vibration and feedback in the controller. The tyre slip effect will adjust how easy it is to notice sort of tyre slip effects such as understeer and oversteer, or when you start to lose traction. Again, boosted this as well. I've gone 140 here. And then for the engine and collision, I've set both to 75, but they're kind of down to personal preference. The engine will kind of change how much of the engine revving you feel through the controller, and the collision will adjust how strong impacts feel. I'd say that the overall controller settings in EA Sports WRC do feel a touch weak by default, so you can see I've kind of addressed this by boosting the main vibration setting and some of the other feedback settings as well. Let me know how you get on with these controller settings, and also what you've changed, what controller settings you're using. But as always, I'd much appreciate if you hit that like button and consider subscribing if you like this sort of sim racing content. But for now guys, enjoy the game and I will see you out there on the rally stages.